Hey guys, welcome back. It is Christmas Eve, and I decided to watch a Christmas movie. I was on the fence of what I wanted to watch a classic, watch what I've already seen, watch something new, and Red One has had so much advertisement. I just felt like I had to see it. And so I gave it a watch, and I actually really liked it. I'm seeing so many mixed things about it. There are people saying it's generic, but people I know who have seen it say they actually really liked it. So I gave it a shot, and I was pleasantly surprised as well. I didn't have any expectations going into this movie. I honestly expected it to be generic, standard, filled with the corny stuff that Christmas movies typically have. And while this movie did have some of that, I think some of its obvious corny moments, I think they were able to sort of make fun of itself, which sort of took away from it just being a corny joke and sort of made it funny, genuinely. And so I thought it was clever how they were able to do that. And so this movie sort of also gives you different bits of the standard Christmas, saving Christmas story. So we get Santa, we have him preparing for Christmas Day, and in this movie, what I found interesting for me, which I think a lot of horror fans could relate to at least slightly, is the mythological side of Santa Claus and other mythological creatures or beasts or the lore of it all. Um, Santa Claus wasn't the only one in this movie. So instead of plenty of elves, there are trolls. There's a headless horseman, Bigfoot, Krampus. There's sort of all sorts of stuff packed into this that sort of make it feel like a fantasy movie almost, not necessarily just another Christmas movie. So I think those elements and those characters help this movie stand apart from a regular Christmas movie just a little bit. They had a really good cast as well. They do have standard action stars, but I think this movie was just entertaining, and that's what a Christmas movie kind of needs to be. Christmas movies don't need to have some extreme psychological deep dive into what the meaning of all, it didn't need to do all of that. It was a standard action movie, it was a Christmas movie, and it was fun, and that's what this needed, and that's what it did. That's what it delivered on. And so really we get to see the human side of character stories more in this movie than some others. So we get to see Chris Evans' character Jack as a kid. That's the starting point of this movie. Is he doesn't really believe in Santa Claus as a kid. And so he's someone's gonna be on the naughty list, and he's an adult, and he's basically a professional hacker, essentially. And he's a bounty hunter, he's a criminal, but he has a son. And his son seems to be a genuine kid. And then we get all of the characters in the North Pole. So I think this movie sort of went back and forth between the human side of the storyline and the mythical side of the storyline to sort of draw it out into something that people can actually relate to instead of just seeing the fantasy lore thrown at you in a Christmas movie. So Santa Claus is kidnapped. If you've seen the trailer, which if you've been to the movie theaters at all in the past few months, you've seen a trailer for this movie. That happens. And so the movie sort of gives us the beginnings of everyone's prepping for Christmas in the North Pole. And Cal, who Dwayne Johnson plays, he's ready to resign because he doesn't see the good in people anymore. He's seeing people just becoming naughty. He's losing faith in people. And that's something I think is extremely relatable in multiple scenarios in life. I think it's easy to lose faith in people. And so that side, I was like, okay, so this is actually going to have a relatable, real life connection within this movie. So that part I found really fascinating. That is what drove his character. That was sort of the purpose of him. And so Santa Claus is kidnapped. They find Jack because he's a hacker. He's the one that ended up giving the bad guys information how to get into the North Pole. And so now Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans characters have teamed up and they're going to go look for Santa. And so that's generally the plot for most of the middle of the movie. The beginning and end have their own sort of interesting parts, but the middle is all a search for Santa. And so, it was an interesting story. They had multiple locations, different fights. There was the lures they create is they can use toy stores as portals to go to different locations around the world. So I love how they're just throwing in their own lore, even within this own movie, which also helps this movie set itself apart. So I like when movies can have their own creative lore, and that was something I liked about this. Another example of creating its own lore, the snowman's origin and what they are, and how they operate, how they can be destroyed. All that was creative, and I thought that was interesting, and it was fun. And yeah, there's a lot of CGI in this movie, and there are parts where it doesn't look all that great, and there are other parts where it looks pretty cool. So I wouldn't say the CGI is bad. I wouldn't say it's great. It's just, it's entertaining. At a base level, it's entertaining, and that's kind of all it needs to be. And I keep using that phrase because if you go into this movie with extreme high expectations, hoping this is going to be some new Christmas classic, I don't know about that. But if you're looking to just have a good time with a fun cast and interesting story, you're going to have that with this. And so once they finally are getting toward the end, after we've had the face off with Krampus and all of the snowman fight, everything in between, the villain is turned out to be the Christmas witch. And so Jack's son is kidnapped, so Jack gets himself kidnapped. That's the short explanation of how that happened. So he can be with his son. So he's finally becoming a better person. He finally wants to be a father to his son, and that's sort of his personal storyline, is he thinks that the kid's just better off without him. And I think that is a general story some people could relate to if they see this movie, that could be in that situation. So I really like how you have this Christmas movie with fantasy elements, mythical elements, with genuine relatable stories as well. I thought that was pretty neat. And so Jack could be tracked in this location. They find out, oh, the villains, the bad guys, they've been in the North Pole all along. And so as they go back to the North Pole, Krampus comes back. The Green Witch, or not the Green Witch, the Christmas Witch. Been watching too much horror stuff. The Christmas Witch gets this monster form, and so it's essentially a big CGI fight. But there's just so much, this big climax toward the end of this big fight. And, you know, they're trying to create some stakes, but the stakes aren't really believable. You don't go into this movie ever expecting Jack or Cal to be killed, and honestly, they're not. But I don't think that really would have made sense in terms of the lighthearted story they were going for. So, defeating the Christmas Witch, Santa Claus and his brother can finally sort of have an understanding. Krampus doesn't stick around, but he leaves. He came to help him out. He did that. He's gone. And they're going to deliver the presents. And Jack and his son Dylan get to ride in the sleigh. And while they're bonding over everything they've been through, and now through this experience, Cal can see the child inside of him, which is part of what people in North Pole can see. That's another part of the lore they create. So even though Cal was going to resign early on in the movie because he just couldn't see the good in people anymore, he's finally starting to see it again. So his character comes full circle. Jack gets a relationship with his son. Santa Claus is back. And so that really is a happy ending for every character. And that's sort of how it needs to be for a movie like this. So it ended on a high note. I thought it was entertaining. It's funny. Chris Evans has done a lot of different work. He's been the superhero business for a while. He's done the action stuff. He's done sort of multiple different genres. And I was seeing a lot of people were reacting to him being in this movie, wondering if he needs a new manager or wondering if he needs to change what he does. I don't think he needs to do that. I think it's cool that he does different stuff. So I hope Chris Evans keeps doing exactly what he's been doing, because he's a great actor, and I can't wait to see what he's in next. So overall, I like this movie, guys. If you're wanting to check out a Christmas movie and you've had even just slightest interest in this one, I would check it out because I liked it, had a good time. It's better than what people are generally saying. I think it's fun and entertaining, and that's all I needed from this. I think that's all you're going to get from it too, as long as you just don't have your expectations a little bit too high. This is not Lord of the Rings. This is an action movie happens to be a Christmas movie, but I liked it. So if you see it, let me know what you think, guys. I want to know what movie fans are saying about it, not just what the critics are saying about it. And let's just have a happy holidays, guys. That's why I wanted to put this review out, is get a Christmas movie in before the year is up. And so, hope everyone's holiday great. Thanks for watching. I'll see everyone later. Keep it digging.